The new 2022 postseason format has made its presence known, as the top 4 seeds of the National League were all eliminated before the NLCS, with the 87-win Phillies emerging victorious out of the National League, and 3 100-plus win teams being knocked out in short order. There's a lot of criticism of the new format going around the internet. The bye is a disadvantage. We had too much time off, but we won 101 games. And there's a lot to talk about with this new format, the randomness of a postseason series, and what's truly best for the game of baseball. We're going to break all of that down for you in this video, so make sure you stick around. It's going to be a good one. Since this is the first year we're seeing this new playoff system, they've expanded the playoffs yet again. I think the current state of the MLB playoffs has diluted the importance of the regular season. And I don't think that's a great thing for baseball. Why are we playing this whole season for when it doesn't really matter if a team that wasn't even that good can get into the playoffs and sweep their way out because they got hot at the right time?
In the previous system, you had the regular season mattering less and less for more teams. When you have this format and you have 12 teams that can get in, really like half the league at the trade deadline trying to buy and trying to get in, it is infinitely better for baseball. It may matter less and less for teams at the top, but you're looking at now over half the league that's looking to contend now, and that is absolutely the best thing. We should always reward those who are playing the best and not those who are the best on paper. Like, you should reward them with a bye round and home field advantage, but we should always look at teams like the Phillies and be like, you know what, they outplayed the Braves, they should be there.
Let's actually take a step back and look at what the regular season actually means. If your team blows up like the Dodgers did, wins 111 games, they're guaranteed a home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs, and they also get a theoretically weaker side of the bracket. Do we see that as an actual advantage? I mean, we saw 3 out of the 4 wildcard rounds, the away team won it, and 2 of them swept.
The only part of this that's really a question is the time off for the time that it takes for the wild card series to wrap up, is that more of a disadvantage than being exposed to a wild card series?
You could ask the Mariners, you could ask the Phillies if they would have rather had a first round bye or battle through those difficult games. I mean, the Phillies had Ranger Suarez starting game 1 of that American League Division Series against Max Fried. Yes, they pulled off the win. If you were to ask anyone in Philadelphia if they would have rather had the first round bye, they'd take it.
It's interesting because from that perspective, yeah, like obviously you're going to take the first round bye because, like you said, the randomness of a 3-game series is just unpredictable, and it would be unfair to send a team home that early. But also from the team's perspective that does have the bye, they don't really feel like they got a bye. You know, they're still going in, and to them, their first round is the first round that they played, and that's the first round that they ended up getting sent home in.
We understand the sport is random, but if you try to sit there and take away the random nature of it, you're no longer playing baseball. You're just playing a regular season and crowning a World Series champ at the end, which I feel like would be taking monumental steps backward towards the era where it was just you're fighting for the pennant during the regular season, and then you're off to the Fall Classic.
Last year, the Braves coasted to an easy division win with like 88 wins. No one even thought they were a strong team or a World Series winning caliber team, and they went all the way. Were they the best team that year? Debatable. Were they the best team in the playoffs? Yeah. But did we crown the best team as the champion? If that's something that's important to you, what do you think? You know,
that's actually a great point that you bring up, and that's something that we need to kind of define here as we work through crowning the quote-unquote best team as the world champions. Does the conversation for who is the best team in baseball start and stop at their team record during the regular season? And the reason I bring that up is because a lot of the fan bases of teams like the Dodgers, the Mets, the Braves, they all felt like their team was better than the team they lost to. Because you look at the record and there were a 22-game difference between the Padres and the Dodgers, and that series ended in 4 games.
It does not automatically end the conversation there, but I do think it's probably the best indicator of the ones that we do have. It's the largest sample size. It's not automatic because teams get better at the deadline. Teams have injuries during the regular season. Teams have injuries during the playoffs too. It's hard to determine which team is on paper the best team, but I do think the sample size of 162 games is a lot better than the sample size of 4.
So your argument is that not necessarily the best team is winning, but the team that's hotter at that time, correct?
That's what we're seeing this year, yeah.
Ultimately, the regular season is a marathon. You need depth to be able to pull off something like the Dodgers did. I mean, they battled a number of injuries too, and it didn't really seem to slow them down. But they were missing their top-of-the-line guys at the end of the season. Walker Buehler, I'm sure they would have loved to have pitching for them in a postseason game instead of throwing out Tyler Anderson and a couple of these other guys, right?
The Dodgers, they won all those games, but they had clear holes going in the playoffs. Like they didn't have a lockdown bullpen guy. Like they had the Evan Phillips of the world and Yancy Almonte, but those guys are going to get hit around eventually. Like they're not the Josh Haders of the world.
On the other side of the bracket, you look at what the Houston Astros are currently doing. At the time of recording, they haven't lost a playoff game yet, but all their wins have been really close. I mean, I don't know what Jacob just did, but I'm going to keep going because I'm already.
They're just steamrolling, dude.
They're a machine at this point. Like, they are just a playoff winning machine. They have multiple different guys stepping up for them in big moments. Jose Altuve is 0 for 22, but they've had rookies like Jeremy Pena step up for them in a huge way, who doesn't have that prior playoff experience. And I don't think the Dodgers had any standout hitters for them going in the division series. Their entire offense was pretty ice cold. The Braves too, who the Phillies kind of steamrolled, if we're being completely honest. Their entire offense was cold outside of Travis d'Arnaud, who, shout out to him, he always shows up in the big moment. You need people like that in October to make it, since there is such a small sample size, like Kyle was saying.
Baseball is just one of those sports, as a pitcher, as a hitter, it's like, it's hard. It's a hard sport to just get up for and just say like, oh, we got to be the best team now, especially when another team is coming off a big wild card win on the road. They got hype, they got momentum. I think one thing I would consider changing is making the division series 7 games as well. I think having the wild card round being 3 games is acceptable. It was 1 game. I think really for the division series, we should have a 7-game series there. Other sports are doing that. Like NHL has 7-game series for every round. I think NBA does as well. Football should do that too. I kind of like having to see rotations go deeper and see some of these other guys really get a better sense for what this team looks like, not just their top half.
And I still think that if you give this format untouched a few more years, you're going to see those top teams find ways to adjust. It is not something that is insurmountable.
One thing I would like to bring up, and I would say as baseball fans, we probably need to do a better job about recognizing regular season greatness. It's something that kind of gets tossed to the side, especially when there's a team that gets bounced early. It's a lot of fun to poke fun at them online and call them chokes and make all these memes about it. I get it.
I do agree with you that there needs to be some pride taken. You put your head on the pillow at night and you're like, man, my Dodgers, they won 111 freaking games this year. What a crazy season. Then you remember you got bounced by the Padres, your division rival, and you're like, man, if we had just played like we did during the regular season. Teams that win a lot of regular season games are being rewarded for doing so. They're still hanging a banner saying they're the National League West champions. They're still getting home field advantage. They're still getting those days off in between the wild card round and the division series, which is an advantage, by the way. I think we're recognizing the advantage that comes with being a really good team during the regular season, but at the end of the day, you got to beat the other teams that are in the same position as you to be the best.
In order to be the man, you know what you got to do?
You gotta beat the man.
You gotta beat the man.
That's right. Please let us know how you guys currently feel about the playoff format.
If you did like this video, check out our one on the AL MVP race. It's a banger. Judge versus Shohei. We'll link it down below.
Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video if you guys like this kind of content, and we will see you guys in the next video.